Austin. Of course there's no laws around here. My opponent defunded the police in 2020. Of course you can go in here and get free syringes and pipes to do drugs on the taxpayer dime. Safety first. From East Austin. Of course I got shot at Booker T a few times. My city's a war zone. From East Austin. Of course my kids' great-great-grandparents were forcibly moved here in the 1930s because of segregation. From East Austin. Of course this is how it looks around here. My opponent doesn't even live here. He lives in San Antonio, so he doesn't feel the effects of his policies. I'm from East Austin. Of course it's not safe to take my kids to the library. I'm running for Congress, and when I get those federal funds, I'm bringing the money back to the east side, north side, and south side, so we can be like the west side.
This is Lauren Pena. I currently reside in one of the housing projects ever implemented in the United States right now. All of our civil rights are being severely violated. I have reached out to every single elected official on my state, federal, and local level to try to get assistance for elderly and disabled that are trapped on the second, third, and fourth story floors. They can't even leave to go get groceries because the elevator's broken and they're in wheelchairs. None of my elected officials have been willing to help me. So yes, I am a Republican running for United States Congress, living in federal housing projects. Now, I had to file a federal lawsuit myself with no assistance because I've reached out to every single elected official and begged for help. My community is falling apart. None of my elected officials have responded to me. None of my elected officials have even offered to help. It's going to show evidence of nonprofit fraud. It's going to show evidence of City of Austin fraud. It's going to show ADA violations and numerous violations to federal law. And my congressman was here earlier, Greg Casar, one who did not answer an email, one who refused to see me. For weeks, I reached out to his office and begged to speak with his staff so that I could get assistance with all of these civil rights violations. So let's make a district in every major city and then let the city decide who's going to represent them. Instead, this is ridiculous. And I'd be more than happy to hand over all of this evidence to you guys. So let's go on a field trip. Let's go around to the projects here in Austin, Texas. I can probably guarantee your safety. No problem. We can do it in groups, however you want to do it. I'd like to do it with the senators and the House of Representatives. Why don't you guys come see how these policies that you have made, implemented, and severely mismanaged on the Democrat side, because again, these are all Democrat policies that are harming my community, every major city, and put a district inside the inner city, because that is the problem. We do not inside the inner cities. And I can tell you all right now that it is not good. The conditions are not good. Your taxpayer dollars are being weaponized against me, my family, and all of the other people there. There are elderly, there are disabled, there are veterans. I beg you guys, give my community, the poor community, people living in poverty, actual poverty, to have a voice in this nation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Another episode of Liberty's Cage. I am happy to be joined by Lauren B. Pena. She is running for Congress in Texas's 37th district, is it correct? I saw her on TikTok the other day and I heard her story and it was a really compelling story. And I just think that you guys need to hear this story. I think she's one of the people that are going to help us take back this country. She's a America First, MAGA conservative, but that's where the similarities probably between her and the rest of us end. But she has a very interesting story, and I just wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. How was your Christmas and New Year's? Was it good?
Yeah, our Christmas was fantastic. Actually, well, I guess a little history. I am a survivor of human trafficking, and it kind of started because when I was 16 and pregnant, my parents kicked me out. Needless to say, I haven't had a really good relationship for my parents, and so actually this Christmas was the first Christmas in 19 years that I spent with my family, and we were all together, and so it actually went really well. There wasn't any battles that I was expecting. I was able to keep my mouth closed about politics somehow, a little bit, but it went really well. My kids had a lot of fun, and it was nice to actually kind of begin to mend the relationship with me and my parents. I think a lot of that started because when my story started coming out for me running for Congress, they realized, oh, well, she wasn't crazy back then. She was just going through some stuff. So it's pretty nice. So great year to start off.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, and thank God that you and your family were able to gather. And I know how important family can be. This is my first Christmas home in about 4 years. We talked about, I'm a January 6er. I did 46 and a half months in federal prison and the DC jail and various federal prisons throughout the country. But it was an awesome thing to see my children, and then I actually got to meet. I'm actually adopted, and got to spend the first Christmas ever with some of my biological family, whom I got to meet not meet for the first time, but spend a Christmas with for the first time. And then I actually spent a couple days with my cousin, who I'd never really got to hang out, never really got to hear her story, but just to like a healing, like happy time, happy to be around family. And then for the New Year's, I stayed at home. home, didn't drink. I actually did like a 6-hour online gaming live stream to bring in the new year, so to show you how big of a nerd I am. But it's just something a little bit different. Just in transparency, my New Year's resolution is to get back into the Bible more, and get away from drinking and alcohol and all that. And I've been trying to medicate what I've been dealing with the trauma from extended time in solitary confinement, being denied visits with my family for 2 years, denied religious services, denied haircuts for a year, denied fingernail clippers for a year. They really just kind of treated us legitimately like domestic terrorists, like anti-government extremists you would think would be treated. And it got so bad at one point that we wrote a letter to an attorney requesting that we be moved to Guantanamo Bay, because we knew that they were treating the actual 9/11 terrorists who were Muslims. They were getting their halal meals, they were getting their prayer time, they were getting to go outside for rec, and we were getting none of those things. And it actually got published in Rolling Stone magazine. The story did. And so, but yeah, I'm thankful for this new year. We're going to put all that behind us, all that bad juju behind us, and we're looking forward, and I'm looking forward to fighting for my brothers and sisters and J6ers, and for the people like you that are going to help us take this country back this next midterm. So you have to go through a primary, I guess, in March, I was reading earlier.
Yeah, well, primary is a funny word, right? Because it's supposed to be, the Republican Party. But I'm not running. One of my primary opponents might be a Republican, but the other's not. She's a Democrat mayor from California. She actually sent out a mass email a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, included me in it, talking about progressive policies. And she straight said, fighting for equity and progress. And so me being someone who's actually a Republican precinct chair, who's actually worked for the party, I am so angry because the elitists here in Austin, Texas, it's real. They're really targeting me. They're going after me, which is good because that means, I'm showing that I have a chance. But why is this woman allowed to run, sending these emails talking about progress and equity? And, all of this time and effort I'm putting into my campaign for this Republican primary, I could be using it to go straight after my Democrat opponent, which is the Progressive Caucus Chair, Greg Casar. And in my opinion, he's public enemy number one, because these progressive policies are harming my community. And so I think it is ridiculous that the Republican Party itself is not standing up and saying anything to this individual. Drop out of this race. You are not a Republican, and we have a Republican who can actually comparatively probably take out the Progressive Caucus Chair. So,
well, it's interesting you say that, because I speak quite a bit to Peyton K. Jackson in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the Republican Party got sideways with her. So it's no surprise to me. I'm a firm believer in the uniparty, and so I'm in Houston. My old congressman was Dan Crenshaw. And so we all know how that turned out. He's a neocon, warhawk, industrial, military industrial complex stooge. He's, kissing the wall, doing all these things. And I'm really not, you don't have to speak on any of that, but I'm not a fan of any of that. I want somebody who's going to get down and I don't say kiss the wall of these citizens' houses, but I want them to be more concerned about what is going on, boots on the ground, in our cities, in our communities, in our neighborhoods, than they are about any other foreign country or about anything else. And I don't want them profiting off of war, profiting off of making bullets and tanks and missiles and jets and helicopters. I want them to be worried about the welfare, the security of the American people. And that's why I think it's important that we had this conversation. And it's really telling that, again, you've got the Republican Party just sitting on their hands. You've got this lady using words like equity and inclusion and all these things, and those are buzzwords. We know what those are. I do, because I sat in prison for 4 years and just devoured politics and all these policy and DEI and all this crap that these people were forcing down our throats that's harmful to our communities. It was more about, your skin tone or your religious beliefs than it was about your merit and your ability to be the one to do the best job. And that's what this country is built on being the hardest working, doing the best job. And I think that it's time for a change, because this old Rhino Uniparty, this is what it is. It's the one beast with two heads. It's the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, but really it's these these same people, and this is what I like about you. I've had tattoos and it says "Mama Tried" on my neck and all this stuff, right? I'm not a professional podcaster, as we've seen me trying to set up this camera and the microphone before all this. But my thing is, I don't fit in with the sweater vest wearing, khaki pant wearing, country club going, Cadillac driving. Like, that's not me, right? I don't feel like that's you either. You're talking about you live. I watched your TikTok and it said you live in one of the oldest housing projects in the city or in Texas. Was it?
In the nation. It's one of the first that was in the nation. Yeah. But here's something that the progressives did that in the end, this is going to be really beneficial. They gentrified it. So what was once, these little one-story kind of like duplexes and stuff, or as a real tight-knit community, now we're in mid-rises, and I'm on the very top. So let me say what the strategic advantage to that is. A lot of people are coming after me, but I live in the project, so it's the next best thing to having Secret Service, because my people are everywhere. So I challenge any of these establishment figures to try to come up to me or come to my house, because we have people everywhere. And since we're at the top on the lookout now, I mean, this community is very safeguarded. You will stand out if you're in the wrong place, and I will have 1,000 people message me before you even get up the stairs. So
Well, and I think that's something, I forget what movie that was. It was about a tenant, about a landlord that had to go live in one of his tenants' properties. But I would challenge any of these other primary candidates or, incumbents or whoever to go live in the projects. Go live in the projects for a month. Go try it out and see how you like it. And then maybe you would have more understanding and more empathy for the people that are having to go through this.
Right. So I actually, during the last legislative session in Texas, I literally testified on that. I was like, I challenge you guys, like, come, let's go on a field trip. And so I literally invited them on a field trip to come. And mind you, I am walking distance from the Texas Capitol, and like nobody wanted to go on my field trip.
Wow.
So I was a little hurt, but I'm like, okay.
All right, well, we're going to be back with more with Mrs. Lauren B. Pena, running for Congress in Texas' 37th District, right after this with Liberty's Cage and Chestnut Checkers.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW. Making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single, Justice for All, with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. We'll get ready for round two. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all voices ring. The anthem of the
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue and all the land.
I'm Shane Jenkins, back with Liberty's Cage, and joined by, we're having mic problems and camera problems, so we're joined with by Lauren B. Pena from Austin, Texas, running for Congress in Texas 37th. Thank you for coming back. I wanted to plug, if I can, my buddy Rob Morris, and I'll hold this up. He wrote a book. He's a guy that I did many months with in the DC Gulag, and he wrote a book. It's called Still There. That's the orange jumpsuit that we used to wear. That's actually a pretty accurate depiction of him with his sleeve tattoo and his long curly red hair. He is he served 3 tours in Afghanistan as an Army Ranger, used his GI Bill when he got out to become he went to Penn State, became a teacher, and was 6 months later, he was teaching history to high schoolers, and went to the Capitol and joined the Capitol riot, and was hunted down by the FBI. They call him Lego Man because when they raided his house, the FBI found a U.S. Capitol Lego set, and they leaked it to the media that he had this Lego set, and they said that he used that in his Army Ranger combat training to create the insurrection, to lead the insurrection. The fact that they forgot was that the Lego set had never been opened. It was still in the wrapper. so he embraced the name Lego Man, and this kid is a class act. He's a good man. I'm actually speaking. He has an event in DFW in Poolville called the Prima Lux Gala. You can look it up on LegoManProductions.com. Use promo code LEGO, LEGGO, MAN, Lego Man Shane 20, and you get a 20% discount on your tickets. But I'm excited to do that. He's actually started a production company to create wholesome Christian movies with American values, where women are women or men are men, and no confusion in there. And he's fighting to take back the culture. He dealt with kids, taught kids in school, and he wants a place where he wants a movie production company that people can get behind, that they know they don't have to worry about taking their kids to see these movies or the hidden messages that Disney likes to put in there, all the filth that they like to do. So I'm excited about supporting him, and we're also supporting Lauren B. Pena for Congress. And so I was looking, if you go to antidote.com, I believe the long version of it is secure.antidote.com/Lauren4Texas/donate, but you can look her up. It's Lauren, the number 4, Texas, right? The number 4 Texas, on antidote.com to help her in this fight. So you told me you live in the projects, but I also saw the videos on TikTok, and you were talking about what I saw was disabled and handicapped people living on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor of these projects with no elevators to work. Is that what?
And veterans too. Yeah. So it's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th story floors. The elevator, it's out all the time. And I've reported this property to, every single agency. And I do have to tell you, that was another Christmas miracle. After 3 years of reporting this property to HUD, to stuff in Texas, I did get an investigator to finally come out right before Christmas, and they were with the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. They came and they did an inspection, popped up on the management. I was so proud. I'm like, honestly, I was a little intimidated too. I mean, this woman, she was like 6'2". She could have picked me up and thrown me. I'm like, wow, TDLR does not play. But I have to tell you, I was so excited because I'm like, this is the start to something big. I'm like, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but my thought is like, okay, they're trying to see if I'm gonna walk around this property with, an investigator, because here's the issue, like I said, we have elderly, disabled, veterans, low-income families, working families in these properties, but we never report anything. We don't call the police. We don't say when things are going wrong, because if we do, we are retaliated against, and things like that. And so these families and these people that have disabilities and veterans, they don't speak up for themselves because they're retaliated against. And so seeing a resident in the projects walking around with an investigator was a really big deal. I can tell you, for the days following, everybody and their mom was knocking on my door. They're like, what you doing, girl? And I'm like, and they are so proud of me. And I can tell you, this community, they love me, and if I can do this here, if I can do this in Austin, every major city can do this. And that's another thing too. I've started to blow up on social media, TikTok and things like that. I am having people from across the country in inner cities reaching out to me saying, hey, I'm inspired. I want to do this. Tell me how to do it. I mean, I can't even tell you how much my inbox is blown up by people, survivors, but women, mainly women, like, hey, I want to do this in my neighborhood. And in fact, I have been, it's going so well that I've actually been able to get already like captains in each of the housing projects here in Austin. Nice. So, I mean, it's really well. But to give a little bit of background on that, when Trump had called for redistricting during the 89th legislative session, it was, the Democrats ended up fleeing about it, things like that. Well, I did not testify at every single hearing because Trump said so. I testified at every hearing except for one, because my community is falling apart. The elderly, the disabled, the veterans, the working families, we have absolutely no voice. And I reached out to every elected official on every state, federal, and local level of government, and none of them cared. And one of those people is, the Progressive Caucus Chair, Greg Casar. Like, I'm coming for you, buddy. I got receipts. But I went and I testified for all of these hearings because I knew if I could get a district that covered the city, I could go into all the projects and I could get those people to vote for the first time. And, that's absolutely coming true. There's about, I don't know about Travis County itself, but in the city of Austin, there's about 20,000 people that are going to be eligible to vote, and they have not voted in years and years and years. And in fact, in my particular property, there is only one person that I know that is a Democrat, and she is like 85 years old. Everybody else is a conservative. Like, so this is the movement is really going to happen. But I think the biggest thing that has been so impactful to me is to see how I've been able to inspire so many people. I never saw that coming. So it's the inspiration that I'm giving the average voter, and then also the way the establishment is attacking me. I love it. Like, it's the biggest stroke to my ego to see like these people that are so paid, like, you're millionaires, you guys are all clicked up in the government, and you are attacking. I mean, there was this one, I don't know if you saw it on X. Did you see the X post that somebody made about me? Oh my gosh. So remember, I was telling you about my primary opponent, who's really a Democrat. Well, her campaign manager is a sitting SREC member for the Texas Republican Party. Okay, and I got an endorsement, a soft national endorsement that's a soft Trump endorsement. One of the first people, Republicans in this district, to ever get a national endorsement. But her opponent, or my opponent, her campaign manager went and got that revoked. So I filed a lawsuit against him for election interference. Well, he didn't like that very much. He ended up sending me an email threatening the life of me and my children. Like, this is a sitting state Republican Party leader threatening me and my children because I filed a lawsuit against him. Like, yeah, this is great. But guess what he does next? He goes and he contacts a media company, I think it's called like Current Revolt or something, contacted them, had them post an article. On the picture, it was a picture of my mugshot, and it said, hooker turned congressional candidate says state senator was like her main person or something. And I saw this and I'm like, holy cow. It was absolutely funny. And I'm like, do they not realize? Because hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people saw that. So imagine the amount of traffic that started coming to my socials, to my website. And like the desperation of these establishment people is just really stroking my ego. So I'm super excited. You know, and on that topic, I was never a hooker. I'm a survivor of human trafficking. But, you know, the way all of that did start is, and I know I'm talking a lot. Should I keep going?
No, you're
gonna ask me a
go
question?
ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
fine with it. Yeah, you're good. We got about 2.5 more minutes for this segment, so you're good.
Okay, yeah, I talk a lot, so I'm sorry. So, you know, I was, you know, as far as human trafficking, one of the things that I really think would be beneficial is to have, and then this would obviously be with the Department of Labor, so the adult clubs, like strip clubs and things like that, they are, those entertainers, they're labeled as like independent contractors, okay? And so with that, it's allowing a lot of human trafficking to go on. And so one of the, I would like to have a bill passed, and I've already been working on the bill, is to have these people working in these adult you know, places to have to be classified as employees. Reason being is they're going to have to confirm their social security number, their identification. They're going to have to clock in, clock out. I think that that's going to knock out a lot of the human trafficking, because I know, like, for me, there was times where I was literally like locked in a place for weeks at a time, and like these are legal businesses that are operating, and you know it's happening and everybody knows. And so I would like to get, you know, some legislation passed and work with the Department of Labor to do that, and that's going to benefit not only you know, the women that are being trafficked, or even men, but I know that a lot of fraud is coming from that, in the way that, you know, if you're receiving Medicaid, food stamps, things like that, and you're an independent contractor, you're not reporting that money. And so I think that is, I mean, I'm in a capital city. I don't know where you're at, how many clubs, adult clubs that they have, but here in Austin, Texas, we've got a lot. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you're the same boat, you know, it's bad over there. But, you know, it's hundreds and hundreds, thousands of women, and, you know, it has to stop. And so I really think that traffickers are going to think twice about locking the women in these establishments, because there are some that are 24 hours, if they're going to have to be actual employees instead of independent contractors. So that's one solution I have as far as human trafficking.
I think we've got to get it under. You know what? You're sitting here talking about that, and I was thinking about COVID and how they closed down the churches and they kept open the bar in the strip clubs, and I'm like, how in the heck is this even going on? But we are with
and
Lauren.
You can get PPP loans.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're with Lauren B. Pena, running for Texas Congressional District number 37, I believe.
Yes,
she has an awesome story. We will be back with more from her and me here in just a few moments. See you then.
You noticed your money just doesn't stretch like it used to? Your paycheck feels lighter and your savings aren't growing. The culprits? Inflation and increased money supply. They've both been quietly eating away at your purchasing power for years. Today, the dollar's value has dropped significantly. You feel it every time you spend money on goods and services. Back in 1965, $1 or an ounce of silver could buy you a gallon of milk. Fast forward to today. That same dollar barely buys a couple of coffee creamers, while an ounce of silver would get you 8 gallons of milk. Gold and silver have held their value for centuries. If you had 2,500 ounces of silver back in 1965, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang. Today, 2,500 ounces of silver would buy you 2 Mustangs. Similarly, in the year 2000, 628 ounces of gold would buy a new $170,000 home. Today, 628 ounces would buy you a $2,500,000 home. The problem? 95% of Americans don't own physical gold or silver. They think it's too complicated and too expensive, but it doesn't have to be. We offer a membership program that allows you to buy gold or silver with as little as $1. You can buy fractional amounts, safely vault them, or have them delivered to your doorstep, and you can liquidate them whenever you want at the highest buyback price in the industry. Ready to protect your wealth and keep your purchasing power? Scan the QR code or go to tafw.soundmoney.com to learn more.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won. It's not about what party. It's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
All right, live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box, and I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about, the Fred Rubino Podcast.
I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve? Fighting!
Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse.
Welcome to Liberty's Cage, the podcast tearing down the walls of America's broken justice system.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. Podcast. Be free, stay free.
Hello, everyone. Shane Jenkins back with Liberty's Cage and Lauren B. Pena. I just wanted to take a moment to advertise for, I don't know if you can see, this is quite a bit of a glare, but it's Sugar Creek Goods. Just go to sugarcreekgoods.com. Oh my gosh, and use promo code Liberty. They have the best homemade soaps. They are an American-made brand. They're based out of Indiana, but that's sugarcreekgoods.com, promo code Liberty, and you get 15% off, and we get a little 15% kickback on everything that you buy. But man, these things smell wonderful. And I'll tell you what they remind me of. My mom always had a wonderful smelling home around the holidays because she would have like wassail or whatever it was, like all this stuff cooking, like what was it? I can't remember the name. Anyway, her home always smelled wonderful. It was the candles and stuff like that, but this is what these smell like. Wonderful soap. They have all kinds of other products too, but I recommend you go check it out. And so we're here with Lauren B. Pena, and I'm excited because I hope that she takes out the establishment. And I'm not shocked. I should be shocked, but I'm not. I'm really jaded. But they have this Democrat from California running in the Republican primary, but it's Austin. So, and I was thinking about the one lady you said who was 85 years old in your projects. She's a Democrat, but she's probably closer to center than these actual, these progressives are so far extreme left. She's probably more of an old school, like Jimmy Carter, probably Democrat, something like that, with some sanity about her still. Right. So what is the next battle is the primary, and then we're going from there on to the ballot the November 3rd, right? That's exciting. So I am cheering for you. So you were trafficked. Let's talk about that for a second. You were talking about your trafficking, and then you got out of that in 2020, I believe you said. Do you want to talk about that at all, or?
Yeah, so I got out because I came up for public housing, and even being a survivor, I was on the wait list for 10 years, and I'm a little sidetracked on that. Right now, if you are transgender and you're in downtown in a facility or something, a homeless facility, they will fast track you out. But me being a mother with children in human trafficking had to wait 10 years to get housed, so that's discrimination. Insane. But absolutely, other than that. Yeah. So, I got out in 2020 because I came up for public housing. I moved in, and I'm like, yay, my life is going to be great. Everything's going to be awesome. I began to get my education. I now have my Bachelor's of Political Science, my UT Paralegal certification. But when I started learning law in UT, this paralegal course, oh my goodness, it taught me so much, and it literally changed my life. I started realizing, my constitutional rights are being violated. My civil rights are being violated. Wow, my entire community's civil rights are being violated. And so, before I took that class, I kid you not, I couldn't even draft an email because I really had a 9th grade education level in 2020. And so now, there is not a Democrat socialist program that I don't have a federal lawsuit against right now. So when I say I'm a Democrat's worst nightmare, I am a Democrat's worst nightmare. And I know a lot of the things that I get, they're like, well, you're going to have to work with these people, and and whatever. No, I don't. I don't have to work with the establishment on the right, and I don't have to work with the Democrats on the left. Like, this is my table. I have built it. There is every single program in this government has harmed me in one way or another, which is fine. I'm not upset about it. It doesn't bother me anymore. I feel empowered. But, you know, my number one thing is there is not a person in this country right now that is more qualified to be in the United States Congress than me. And I'm confident in saying that because I have literally lived and survived every system in this government that's meant to govern the American people, and it has failed me. And I know the flaws, but I do want to say that my, you know, my campaign is not about revenge against the government. You know, when I finished my bachelor's degree and I took my class on the Constitution, I fell in absolute love with it. I love the Constitution. It's beautifully written. And, you know, a little FYI too, I think the fact that I took that paralegal certification course from UT before taking that class on the Constitution made a really big difference because the language of the Constitution meant something different to me. And so I'm absolutely empowered, but my goal is not retribution against the government or even the Democrats that have harmed me. My goal is to fix the policies that allowed the harm to happen in the first place, because it's happening to me, it's happening in my community, it's happening to the American taxpayers. Like, literally, they are trying to collapse the middle class, and I can stop it. I can fight it. I have the proof. I have the evidence, you know.
Well, we see, you know, we've seen with the Somalian daycares fraud and all that, how many billions and billions of dollars of taxpayer money is being squandered. And I was just sitting here, you were telling me all this stuff. I was thinking about, it's like when you give a kid a firearm they start like waving it around. They're like, whoa, Lord, put the gun down. Like, I'm not working with Democrats. I'm not working with Republicans. I'm not working with anybody. Like, you've been educated. I love that you took the initiative to educate yourself. You've been through so much, but you didn't use that as a crutch or want to take a victim stance. You said, you know what, I'm going to fight. Maybe you're wrong. Sorry, my microphone went out again. I think what maybe the biggest thing is, I don't necessarily see you fighting for yourself. I see you fighting for your community. And I think that is what is inspirational. And that's why the people in your community love you, because they know they can trust you to go fight and represent them, which is what our Congress people are supposed to be doing, is representing we lend them our vote so they can go represent us as if we were there in their stead. It's a representative democracy is what we're a part of. And we lend them our votes. But I really think that it's inspirational that you've taken the initiative to educate yourself and be willing to stand up and fight for the weakest among us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then, you know, from a public safety standpoint, I'm also, I hate to use the word bridging something, because that's a Democrat kind of thing. But, you know, like I said, in my community, we don't call the police. We don't do anything like that. You know, the relationship between the police and people in my community is rocky. It's rough. And I understand why. I mean, I grew up around gangs, and so we thought the police were the enemy. But I was able to take a community police academy through the city of Austin. And that's actually how I found out I was a survivor of human trafficking. I didn't even know I was in human trafficking. And so it's about educating the community, but I'd like to bridge that gap between our youth and the police, because, you know, it's interesting, and I hope I love law enforcement now, so don't take it out of context, but a lot of our thinking is kind of the same. So, like, we're really a lot more alike than people know, and so I would like to bridge that gap between communities in poverty and law enforcement, and so I feel really empowered to be able to do that.
I'm good with good law enforcement, like good policing, I will say, because, you know, I was actually looking at my notes for the show. I'm traveling tomorrow to Washington, D.C. to participate in a march, because it's January 6th on Tuesday, but we're marching for Ashley and for the others. There was 3 other people that, I don't know if you know this or not, but 4 people were killed on January the 6th at the United States Capitol. They really only talk about the one. She was an Air Force veteran, wounded in combat. She was shot unarmed inside the Capitol by a Capitol Police lieutenant. And so we're going to go march for that. And I'm somebody, I've been to prison in Texas 3 different times. You know, had shot and killed my stepdad when I was 20 years old in self-defense, really messed my head up after I found out I was adopted when I was about 12 years old. And when I found out I was adopted when I was 12, I really turned to the dark side of the community. I started running with gangs. By the age of 15, I committed an aggravated robbery. By the age of 16, I had watched my friends kill a guy and shoot 2 more people while I was in the car with them. I was charged with an accessory to murder and 2 attempted murders in that. I was able to plead guilty as a juvenile to 1 attempted murder. I did 3 years in juvenile for that. Was out a year when I when I turned 19, was out a year. When I turned 20, my mom had married a very violent and abusive guy, and I ended up shooting him in self. He shot at me first. I shot him 11 times and killed him while I was on the phone with 911 in self-defense, and it really just kind of took me down a dark path. Ended up going to prison as an adult 3 different times after that. Turned into drugs and alcohol really badly, but God's always got a but in there, right? Gave my life to Jesus Christ in 2016 and got released from prison in 2018 and moved to Houston from Dallas, Fort Worth. And here I sit. I got involved in politics with the whole, voted in the 2020 election for the first time, watched them steal it. And it was like, if there's one thing you learn in prison, it's like, don't let anybody take anything from you, because if you do, you're done. You know what I mean? And so it was like, I watched them steal this election, and I was just like, I have to go. I wanted to go protest, and so, anyways. But we're going to that march to protest for Ashley, and I do support the law enforcement community. Unfortunately, I put them in a bad position a lot of times in my earlier life where they had to do their job, and I don't blame them for doing their job. They do keep us safe, and I tell the people at TSA when I go to the airport, man, they're like, "Man, we're sorry, we're taking so long, whatever." And I'm like, "Look, man, thank you for protecting us," and I say the same thing to EMT people, nurses, doctors, whoever. I appreciate the first responders and law enforcement people in our community, because they do a valuable service. And if you do get shot or you do get hit or whatever, you're going to need to call somebody to come help you. And I do believe there is an opportunity to bridge that gap in the communities that you're talking about, because we don't want to be labeled a snitch by, like, you were walking around with that lady like, oh, she's snitching to these people, but like, these people are harming you. They're keeping your veterans and your elderly and your disabled from being able to move around and get out of the house, go to the store, get their groceries, whatever they need. And it's, at some point, I would say it's not snitching against the system. You know what I mean? If I was reporting,
no, it's not. That's why I'm still alive right now. If it was a person, I'd be dead. But it's not a person; it's the system as a whole. So, yeah.
we've got to beat that back, because I do believe. I mean, you could go almost anywhere in Houston, any projects anywhere, you got like 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, 5th Ward, and it's bad over here in Houston. And you can't tell me that they're serving those people properly. And I think you can judge a society by how you treat the poorest and the least educated of that society.
So I actually was just in Houston, I don't know, like a month ago for an event, and I noticed that they're doing to the projects in Houston exactly what they did here in Austin. So like, I live in the projects, and then across the street, literally on the street, is $1 million homes, and so that's what's happening in Houston too. But like I said, I'm getting so many people reaching out to me. I might just go on a field trip myself. Like you said, Dallas, I will go to Oak Cliff, the projects over there, and I will find 3 of me. Like, I will go to Los Angeles, and so I challenge the system to try to fight me from winning this election, because it's going to be really bad, because I'm going to go find so many of me that will be unstoppable.
That's what they have to realize. There's so many of us. It's like this pyramid scheme. It really should be the upside down pyramid. We should be on the top, because they work for us, really, and that's what we forget. But we will be back with Lauren B. Pena and myself, Shane Jenkins, right after these messages.
You've worked hard and saved, but inflation and increased money supply are eroding your buying power. Protect and grow your wealth with physical gold and silver. Sound Money. With a Sound Money wallet, your wealth stays in your control. Buy fractionally, vault securely, ship directly, and instantly liquidate your gold and silver at the highest buyback price in the industry. Real money, real ownership. Visit tafwsoundmoney.info or scan the QR code and start securing your financial future today.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice all across the country, News Radio, across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
Corporate transfer. Fine, professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
I'm Shane Jenkins from Liberty's Cage. We are back with Lauren B. Pena, running for Congress in Texas 37th District. We were talking about her past and the system failing our communities, and I just wanted to kind of get into some policy points for you. If you could go and change whatever you wanted to change in our government, how they're spending our money, what they're doing, I just want to hear how you would do it differently than what they're doing. So I'm going to open up the floor for you, and if I think of some questions along the way, I'll just interrupt you for a second.
Absolutely. One of the most significant things is, ever since I, got my education and I started this career path, I actually was not able to get any employment. And so you think of like DEI, and they, I am the perfect DEI, and I live in the projects in a major inner city place, and I'm not able to get a job. They're not hiring. They're hiring from people outside of the city. And so that's a number one issue. But I feel like they want people like us in poverty. And so what people don't understand is that I live in the United States of America, but I live in socialism right now. And no matter how hard I fight, no matter what I've done, how much education I've gotten, I mean, you see behind me, I have a buttload of education, but no matter what I do, I can't get out of socialism. And so I think that it's really dangerous that, progressive Democrats and even some of the young folks are flocking to people like Mondami in New York talking about socialism, because they really don't understand the harmful effects of these policies. And, we talked about my apartment, how we're having all these issues, and the elderly and disabled and veterans can't get assistance in my community. Well, there's a lot to it. And I think ultimately we need to end the socialism that's currently in the United States right now. And so one of the things that would be high priority to me if and when I am in Congress is we have to completely reform public housing. And so what I would like to see done is that everybody that's in public housing right now, whatever the list is, cut it off. Nobody else can get on this list for housing. And if you live in the projects, you'd be Section 8 out. We need to privatize all these properties. We need to make these properties pay taxes, because I guarantee you if this property was paying taxes right now, it would be taken care of a lot more different. And like I said, I'm walking distance from the Texas Capitol. My apartment shouldn't be falling apart the way it is. I shouldn't have mold in the vents. I shouldn't have homeless people in my hallways banging on my doors, exacerbating my PTSD at night. I shouldn't be going through those things, and neither should the elderly and disabled and veterans in the community. So, back in the day, they had redlining and things like that. Right now, what this is modern day redlining. What are we doing? We're taking a bunch of people who have, and I'm speaking because I'm one of them, low education levels, not a lot of work experience, and we grew up in this gang culture and thought life is supposed to be a certain way, and we're cramming us all in one area of the city, and it's really stupid. And so like I said, we need to absolutely close the public housing waiting list, because it is socialism. Once you get in here, you don't get out. I have neighbors that are 4th, 5th, 6th generation born into the projects, and it's what we're used to. Gosh, I mean, I could go on about these socialist programs, but basically, when you take away someone's need or desire to work, it's what creates all the mental health issues. It's what, all the drugs and things like that. Like, we have nothing else to do. We're bored. So what do? We sell drugs or we do drugs, and it shouldn't be that way. But it's because there's nothing else to live for. We're taught this is our life, and so we need to end public housing. We need to voucher out everybody that's in it. And another thing, food stamps is a big issue too. And I know, so I've been on food stamps since I was 16 because my parents kicked me out when I was 16 and pregnant. For me, my biggest pet peeve, I do not like fraud, and I've never liked fraud. Like, that's one crime that I'm so very much against is fraud, because this is taxpayer money. But there are literally places in every community by the projects where you go to the gas station, you can buy, cigarettes, tobacco, Delta 8, alcohol, hot food, and we have this new law that just went into effect saying you can't buy, soda and junk food with food stamps, but it doesn't matter. We can literally go and buy liquor with it. And so we have turned this into a type of currency, and it's a burden to the taxpayer. As the middle class is collapsing, we're bankrupting them on these programs that just do not work. They're taken advantage of. And it's not because we're bad people. It's because this is our life. This is our style. It's been like this for so long. This is a generational curse. And I think that ultimately, I don't believe that Democrats are evil, or they didn't mean to be evil. I think that in their heart, they genuinely wanted to help people, but they're doing it the wrong way. And so that's why it needs to be someone like me who's living inside of the system, who knows all the messy, dirty secrets about it, to be there in Congress and have these people come sit at my table, because again, this is my table. I fought for this. I am the one who's been harmed, and they can come to me and we can work this out. I feel bad because I don't think that they're evil. I think that they thought it was for the greater good of society, but it's not. And I would hate to see how many people in the United States we have living in poverty in the next 10, 15 years if we don't end these social programs the way they are now. Because what's going to happen is the middle class is going to keep collapsing because of all these taxes to go to pay for poverty, to pay to put us in poverty. Because I'm telling you, it's socialism. I can't get out. And I say that I ended up founding a nonprofit so that I could provide legal assistance to people in my community and things like that. But do you know that in my city, the nonprofits are so corrupt that I can't even go and take a grant out for my nonprofit because I don't want, I guess, mud on my face for anything. So I'm literally trapped in poverty because I'm so afraid of fraud, and it shouldn't be that way. And so really this welfare reform stuff is not a pretty topic to the Republicans, but they need to get over it, because at the end of the day, it's kind of our fault because we ignored these things in the begin with. We just let Democrats run wild. There's no responsibility, accountability, there's no proper oversight, and it's the Republicans' fault too. And it's time. This is the new American Republican Party, and I want to help lead it. So it's time for us to be for working families. Like I said, I don't think there's anybody else that is more qualified to do that than me, because I'm right here. I live here now, and I'm ready to fight.
No, I think that's great. I'm sitting here thinking too, while you're talking about it, I think you could tear down the projects and you could put in trade schools and you could put in all these different, colleges, community schools like that could teach not necessarily just college courses, but welding, whether it's sheet metal, concrete work, plumbing, electrical work. Like you teach anybody how to provide for themselves and for their families. Is going to give them a pride about themselves instead of having to take these weak handouts from the government, which kind of makes you just kind of like, you can't have, you're just living off government assistance. I understand that. I don't want a handout from anybody. I don't want anybody to give me money. I want to go do a hard day's work to be able to earn my way, and I think there's something to be said for that. And I think if you can teach a man how to fish, then he can take care of his family. And I think that's kind of where we're at.
On that topic, though, just real quick, I want to say something on that. Another thing that the Democrats are doing, though, is the classes that you're talking about, they're putting all these extra regulations over it. And so I think that's a big problem too. We have to stop the regulation to allow people to do things on their own.
So you got to get through the primary here in what is it, like 2 months from now? Is it March 5th? I think it is.
Early voting starts on the 17th of February.
Oh shoot! So next month we're getting close. So you got to be in the.
I'm not worried about it.
Texas 37. We're definitely cheering for you. I hope to see you through that. And then, are you doing okay fundraising? I mean, obviously, I would say go to her. What is it, like 2 months from now, March? Is it March 5th? I think it is. Early voting starts on the 17th of February. Oh shoot! So next month we're getting close. So you got to be in the. Texas 37. Are you doing okay fundraising? I mean, obviously, I think, and I would say go to her fundraising site, I think it's the $5, $10, $15, $20 things. Like enough people do that. Like obviously, I think the max it said per like primary is $3,500, and then for the regular general election is $3,500. I think anything helps. $5, $10, $20 helps. And so if you want to help Lauren B. Pena, please go to Lauren for Texas and find her.
Lauren for Congress.
Lauren for Congress. Okay. Lauren for Congress.
Yeah, and on that topic of fundraising, here's a fun fact. I'm a no-name candidate that's living in poverty, and I have outraised every single Republican candidate to run in this district in many, many cycles combined. I'm talking combined. It is terrifying, the establishment. I think that now I've been, fundraising for about 6 months. I'm at like $75,000, which is ridiculous. How did this happen? Like I believed in myself. I had the confidence, but we're really doing this. And so, the establishment's scared and the Democrats are scared. And I'm not, because I live in the perfect place to not have to worry about it.
You know what? You don't like me. I feel like I kind of look like my story, right? If you look at my hands and my arms and all that, like I look like my story kind of, but I don't feel like, not to negate your story, but I don't feel like you look like your story. You're very well spoken. You speak very educated. You all live in the projects. I love that. And you've also had a hard upbringing, but I'm so thankful that God salvaged you from that, and that he gave you this. I just see the fire and the spark in your eyes. And I thank God he gave you a heart to have compassion on the people that you live with and to love them and to see them for where they are, and to see them, to hopefully see a vision to get them out of where they are and into a better place for them and their families. It may be a rough adjustment for some people, but I think that it's
needed.
It's like getting the baby off the teat, right? You got to get them off there. Like, okay, it's time for some solid food, and to go, like, now you can build your muscles and get big. I think it's a beautiful thing. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah. So I guess one of the biggest things that I would really like to do, and if you have the opportunity to donate to me, I would like to, since I do live in the bluest district in Texas, I would like to send a handwritten letter or, a nice individual letter to every Democrat in my district. Now, Congressional District 37 is only inside of Travis County. So again, it is the bluest district in Texas, but I would like to send every single Democrat handwritten letters to talk about who I am and to ask them, obviously they're not going to vote for me because I'm not a Democrat, but just to tell them, hey, do not vote for my opponent. So getting them to non-vote is just as the same as getting a vote. And so for that, that's going to be a significant cost. We're looking at probably about $50,000 just to send that one mailer to every Democrat. So if you can go on to my website, there's a donation link. Just donate $10 because that'll add up quickly. And I do have to say, out of the money that my campaign has raised so far, it's all been small donors, usually like $10. No PAC money, no corporate PAC money. I think I got maybe one donation for $500. Everything else is small. And so,
what is that website?
LaurenForCongress.com, LaurenForCongress.com. And if you get on there, at the top right of the screen, you'll see all my social media. I encourage you to follow me. I just started doing this stuff, and it's going really well. Like on TikTok, I'm already over 7,000 followers in 2 months. It's incredible. And so I'm also really good to be responsive with people. So if you send me a message, I'm going to respond to you. Just help me out, because I truly and honestly believe whatever we do here in the city of Austin, in Travis County, Texas, we can do to every single major city across this country and across this nation. And that's going to benefit the entire American people as a whole, because the working class is the middle class, and they're the ones that are being harmed the most.
Well, you heard it here first, folks, on Liberty's Cage. This is Lauren B. Pena. I'm running for Congress in Texas, 37th District. Thank you so much for coming on. And when she said she is responsive, that's how I messaged her on TikTok, and I said, I want to hear your story. I want to interview you. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being willing to fight for the American people. We're cheering for you. If there's anything I can do, you have my number. You can reach back to me. Like when you win the primary and you're like, look, we won. Now we're on to the general. Let me know. I'll do whatever I can to help. And maybe if I'm up in Austin, we can go knock on some doors for you or something like that. I would absolutely love to do that, and we're cheering for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate being invited to your show, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future as well.
Yes, ma'am. God bless you. That's all, folks. We'll see you next time.